Hey guys, welcome back to another analysis video. Today's analysis will be on the 2019 Pacific Classic. So without further ado, let's go. At number 1, we have War Story. Now, War Story is a veteran contender. He's 7 years old, and he's still running in Grade Stakes company, and I think out of all the years to run in a Grade 1 race, this might be his shot, because this year's Pacific Classic, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty weak, so I think this is his opportunity to get a good second or third place finish. I recommend using him in place and show bets, because he's valiant in defeat, and especially recently, he's shown just how tough he is, especially with him fighting gamely in the Monmouth Cup to win, so use him in play show bets. Number 2 is Quip. Now, Quip is very similar to War Story in that with this weak class, he definitely has a shot at a good second or third or maybe even a win performance. One advantage that he does have is that he has proven that he can win in the slop. However, that isn't really that much useful when you're running in California. But he's very game in defeat, just like War Story, and most recently was second in the Stephen Foster. So, a place bet's a pretty safe bet, but if you want to go for the win bet, then I'm not stopping you. Number 3 is Pavel. Now, Pavel is another horse that normally would be a toss because there are comparatively better horses out there, but this is one of those times where that isn't the case, as Pavel has proven that in smaller company that isn't as strong, he is most certainly one of the better horses. That's what happened in the Stephen Foster handicap, and in last year's Pacific Classic, he would have won if it weren't for the fact that he was racing against Accelerate. And now that Accelerate's retired and there aren't that many particularly strong horses in this field, this could be his potential chance to actually win the Pacific Classic. Number 4 in this field is For the Top, and For the Top is just your average Argentinian bred that isn't nearly as good in North America toss. At number 5, we have the major favorite in this race, Seeking the Soul. Now, Seeking the Soul is the prime example of being, by default, one of the best horses in this field, because normally he is outclassed by tough fields, but especially in races like the Stephen Foster handicap, he has proven that he can face off against tough horses. He did beat Quip, who I've mentioned is one of the better contenders in this race, and seems to be the clear favorite, but I wouldn't say there's a guarantee he'll win. He's never ran in the West, which could be a problem, and he'll have to deal with Pavel, who's a stronger opponent than you think. Higher Power is just a toss, no real major victories. His last start was on the turf, which I think he should stay at. There's nothing really interesting or good about him. Next up, we have Tenfold, who is an incredibly hit-or-miss kind of horse, because he's a come-from-behind runner, and there are times where he does come from the back to fly in between horses and hang on and win, like he did in the Pimlico Special and the Jim Dandy Stakes. But then there are times where he's tucked in the back, and he never makes a move, and he just stays there, and he never passes really anybody. And I think this is going to be one of those times where it's going to be very hard for him to navigate in between horses and get a good win, because he has some tough competition to deal with for a horse of his level. Then after that, we have Campaign, who is a horse that I think is actually pretty good, but not in this kind of race. Campaign's a horse that I think is going to be a really big contender in this year's Marathon Stakes, and this race is not exactly his preferred distance. He likes 1.5 miles or longer, so I think he'll be a great stayer horse, but this race is just so he can get a race in and be fresh when he runs in races that he can win, like the Marathon Stakes. Then we have Mongolian Groom, who's just a mediocre horse with much to offer. Even though he did come one length away from beating Catalina Cruiser was kind of off that day, so he couldn't defeat Catalina Cruiser on an off day. That just kind of shows what kind of horse he is. And to round out the field, we have Draft Pick. Now, Draft Pick is not really living up to his name here in this case, because, well, he's been running in smaller stakes races most of his life, and sure, he finished second in the Los Alamitos and West Virginia Derbies, and was third in the San Diego Handicap, but he was behind the, as aforementioned, mediocre horse Mongolian Groom. So I don't think he is the draft pick here. There is a chance that he might have gotten a bit better since the San Diego Handicap, but that's not exactly the most likely of results. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you're wondering what my summary for this field is, I'd say that the win contenders are Pavel, Quip, and Seeking the Soul. So those are the main horses that I'd recommend using win bets for. If you're wondering what place or show bets are, I think that the best place show horse is going to be War Story or, to a certain extent, Quip. So those are my major win place show bets, in my opinion. And if you want, you can go for those. And if you don't and think there's a better strategy out there, then go ahead and use it. You don't have to listen to me. Comment down what you think is going to happen in this year's Pacific Classic, and see you guys next time.